Welcome, everybody. Trying to make sense of what potentially will be new rules for going to shows or being a show promoter or being a dealer and setting up because stuff's happening that's troubling. Changes will be made to protect everybody from a few bad apples. But as we've seen in our society, in our culture, there are bad apples out there and they can do bad things. Law enforcement and even good people need to make it difficult for anybody to perpetrate something bad. So thanks, sponsors: Topps Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Hugs and Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. So Rich, welcome. You are a dealer sometimes, you are a collector a lot of the time, and you're a promoter twice a year. And you're certainly, as a promoter, you're probably going to have to make adjustment. How do you feel most impacted by what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
The show I run, it's actually been more than the last couple of weeks. It's actually been the last year and a half, ever since the shooting at the Allen Outlet Mall. At that point, we increased our security presence during the show. And Kyle Robertson's May show, he had increased his police presence at the show. Then after the horrific events of 10/7, we've really had to uptick our security. I'm running a show at a synagogue. We're already talking about what we can do to increase security. We have one or two dealers with nice stuff, but for the most part, we are more of a community-based, quiet dollar show. We don't have people with 52 mantles in their showcases. So we know our lane in terms of what type of collectors come to our show. Since we moved to our new location, the first couple shows, it was just me at the front desk. Now there are two of us at the front. We still have the person cooking the hot dogs with the chips and the soda, and there should always be a floater. The first couple shows, during the majority of the show, I could do two people, me and the person doing the hot dogs. So we've actually increased from 2 to 4 people now in terms of the brotherhood at the show, and we have increased security presence.
Well, for what you just described for your Adot synagogue show, you've doubled your security expense, something like that. Kyle already was doing a lot of good things, but whatever he's doing, he's going to have to do more. And that's going to be an additional expense. Dealers have the wake up that, hey, this could happen to me. But I want to focus on collectors. They're thinking, am I safe at a big card show? Is somebody going to cost me in the parking lot? In the Waters Creek thing, there were no guns, there were no knives, there was no stalking. They were hovering. They're waiting for the moment, and they were smart about it. It wasn't a random thing. They planned it out. But we found out they didn't pay with a credit card to come in. They paid with cash. I noticed when you were at the entry table and I signed my name, but I didn't show my driver's license. Or now you knew it was me, but there was a big long list of names. Are you going to require proof of ID, or are shows going to require you have to pay for with a credit card? Is cash going to be outlawed at shows? When I go to the Mavericks game, I can't pay cash for a hot dog. It's a cashless venue. I'm giving them my credit card to get the hot dog or the chicken fingers or whatever it is. People are willing to give up on privacy if it's for their own benefit or for their safety. If you were to say, I'm sorry, but you can't come in unless you show your ID. I want to know who you personally are, in case you forget something, in case something comes up. But we want to know who our customers are. We're not going to hound you. How about renting a metal detector? Should Kyle be thinking about that?
One of the problems with the metal detector is there are so many points of entry into the Dallas Card Show because you have all these different rooms, plus you're in a hotel situation. And where do you draw the line in case somebody is staying at the hotel who's not a card show person or the wife?
Okay, we're also thinking about the National. My sense was that the National in Cleveland has more limited ingress egress than some of the other national buildings we've been in, because it's like a bomb shelter, airplane hangar. There's some doors on one side and some doors on the other side, and most of the other stuff is closed off. So is it feasible there? Is it possible that JBJ, the new promoters, are going to be bringing in metal detector?
That's a really good question. Do you examine every bag that comes in and out of the show too? Or every backpack?
So I want to sit down at the dollar box. Do I have to show ID? that would be a deterrent for me, which I wouldn't steal because they're just dollar cards. But would they want to get a photocopy of my driver's license as I sit down at their booth and start pulling cards in order to know that if cards are missing, I was there for some period of time? Or is that too extreme? There already are dealers that have their own cameras shooting what's going on in front of their table.
I know Mike Mosher had his camera for years at the show because I think somebody ripped him off of something, and he then got a camera. Whether or not he actually used it, other than just an deterrence, he made sure he had a camera. Other people have cameras too. It's not the worst idea in the world. A side element of this whole how many badges people are getting at the National, the promoters of the National at their smaller events, which are still pretty big shows, really try to have nobody but people with badges on as they're closing down the show. Back in the day, a lot of collectors like to come to shows at the end of the day. Okay, what can I buy cheaply that a dealer may want to make? Hey, if I have cash in my pocket and I give him X hundreds of dollars for some good items, I get a great deal. And
like I'm going to carry it out for you because here's the money instead of you carrying it out and get it for the next show. Okay, so you don't like my metal detector idea. When you go to catch a flight now and to get through the
security clearance,
TSA, yeah. Okay, you have to put your face in front of the screen and they snap a picture of you. They have facial recognition. You've given them your ID. They have your boarding pass, and it's like an iPad thing that's facing you, and they snap a picture of you. I'm just wondering if there isn't something like that, a photo booth, because part of the problem was some of these drone cameras are not always getting the best facial angle. If everybody coming into the show, to your show, Waters Creek, the National, had to, for 2 seconds, be in front of this iPad that automatically snaps their picture, you'd have a mugshot for everybody that went through there. That wouldn't be that expensive either.
Part of me says that's a great idea. And part of me says, where does the privacy end for somebody coming to a show? That's something I battle as a promoter. Are we going to create more friction? Because there's 1% of the people, 1/2 of 1% of the people are bad at the card shows.
Wait a minute. Actually, it's probably more than that percentage-wise, because in the Colombia, Argentina, the America Cup thing, the soccer, where the mass of Colombians or Argentinians rushed the gate and people were hurt and the real ticket holders, it just was chaos. We're seeing public behavior to the Trump event where he was shot, had a long line of security clearance for anybody inside the security perimeter, which wasn't enough. But it was people waiting a long time.
And apparently that they did not, there's a blame game now for who screwed up with the building where the shooter set up his nest. It
was outside the perimeter. I'm just saying the ripple effect in our culture is that now Joe Drellick and Kyle Robertson and Rich Klein, anybody, you have to be thinking beyond just inside the building, beyond just behind the booth.
I know our security guy, unless he's like using the restroom, is outside the building during the show.
And he's packing.
So we have inside and outside.
Okay. Let me give you a hypothetical here. This is your money or your life. So, you're breaking down on Sunday afternoon and you've either got cards or money in your pocket, and somebody comes up to you and says, give me your cards. And you might go, or what? Or can we discuss this? And no, just give me your money, give me your wallet, give me your cards. And you say, or else what? Now, if he pulls a knife or pulls a gun, you're probably going to say, okay. And you're going to try to remember what the guy looks like. But to fight it out with somebody's got a knife or a gun, I think you and I are beyond that. So there isn't any amount of money, but I don't bring great cards and I don't bring a lot of money. But still, it would be frustrating as you're walking out to the parking lot.
That is tough. Seriously, I'm shocked there have not been more robberies of people leaving card shows like that.
You think it happens and we don't hear about it?
That's possible too. We've heard a lot about the stores that have been broken in, but I wonder if people are ashamed or something to admit that they got robbed when they were leaving the show.
Maybe we should talk to an insurance person, because basically, if you have insurance, there are now some specialty insurances companies that, in fact, our old company has affiliation with one, and there's others out there that insure your collection and in transit. That could be for dealers or for collectors, but they would have some stats on, is this a rare occurrence, or they might be upping their premiums now, because if there is a loss here, which it looks like there's going to be some kind of loss, maybe this Ash J guy was not insured.
There is a significant reward. Is the reward coming from the insurance company, or is it coming out of the company?
It doesn't sound like insurance to me. The silver lining for the insurance companies might be that, hey, you know what? If you have insurance, we go to bat for you. We help investigate because we don't want to pay out, and we're the professionals. But I'm wondering what the premiums are going to be like, because if you pay,
many years ago when I was setting up at shows and I'd walk around the National, I actually asked a couple of insurance people about that. And it's a very different world when you're setting up at shows with stuff in transit than having stuff just at home. It's a very different schematic of.
Well, it becomes more of a commercial insurance.
Yes.
And a collector insurance. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Our hobby is going to be changed in terms of what it means to be at a show, to be a promoter at a show, to be a dealer at a card show. It's no longer the hobby we used to know.
Here's when you and I have a approval to walk in and visit the graders during Beckett Grade. You know, when they're at the. I wonder someday if they might just say, no, we know you're good. However, we don't let anybody who's not with Beckett currently active visit the graders during the show.
Okay, that's a good note to end on, because I'm waiting for that day where they turn me away from going into the grading area that I was a founder of. It'd be for my protection, perhaps. But people don't need to see other people. They don't know who they are going in there. It makes people think, hey, it's loose. The thefts, these are inside jobs. They're figuring it out. And if it looks like you're loose and not tight, then they're going to think that's the person I'm going to try to get something from. I hope this is just a blip. I hope the National is uneventful, and I hope there's not a long line waiting to get through security. That would impact everybody and be a real frustration. How does this impact Fanatics Fest, which is going to be way more glitzy? It's downtown New York with the Javits Center in about a month. They've got to be thinking about this, and they're going to have big time celebrities there walking the floor, being available and accessible. I think we're living in a different time.
As a promoter, I think about those things a lot.
My guess is we're going to have a new reality of dealing with shows, and it's going to be more hassle, more protection for our own sake and for everybody's sake. Fanatics isn't going to say, hey, the National's got a lot of friction. Just come walk through with us. No big deal. Number one, it's a lot more expensive than the National. I want them to be successful too, but anyway, thanks. And I'm looking forward to your Labor Day show, and I hope everything gets worked out. If you ask me for my ID, I will provide it, Rich.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Rich.
I'll see you soon.